The silence after King Leo left was thick, heavy, and infinitely worse than any noise. It was the silence of a clock stopping, a world holding its breath. I sat on the massive black silk bed for what felt like hours, my body refusing to obey the simple command to move. Every nerve ending still vibrated with the memory of his touch, his thumb tracing the edge of my crescent moon birthmark, and the terrifying, animalistic honesty in his eyes when he asked, "What are you?" I was a servant. That was the only answer I had ever known. Yet, in that brief moment, his primal alpha wolf had recognized something in my timid omega that transcended rank and law. He had felt the bond, I felt it too. It was a searing hot wire connecting my soul to his, pulling me toward a man known for his ice and ruthlessness. And he was fighting it. He had pulled away with a visible, violent effort, leaving me confused, shaken, and desperately lonely. I finally collapsed onto the pillows, pulling the thick, expensive blanket over my head. The material smelled intensely of him, pine, ice, and something sharp and metallic like blood and ambition. It was a suffocating scent, yet my Omega wolf, now fully alert and vibrating with a terrifying mix of fear and need, craved more of it. I fell into a restless, shallow sleep, praying the morning would bring clarity, or better yet, a change of heart. When the morning light filtered through the sheer curtains, I woke up with a dry mouth and a familiar dread. Clara was already there, quiet as a shadow, setting out a beautiful gown of deep sapphire blue. It was made of fine, heavy velvet, a dress fit for a noblewoman, not a servant. "The king's tailor sent it, Audrey," Clara murmured, noticing my shocked gaze.
"He said His Majesty requested colours to reflect the Shadowfang ice and sky. You are to attend the morning meal in the king's private dining room."
My hands trembled as I took the dress. "I can't wear this. This is for a beta or a visiting dignitary. I'm just—" "You are the king's consort now, dear," Clara interrupted gently, helping me into the gown. The fabric was heavy and warm, falling gracefully around my feet. "Whether temporary or permanent, he has decreed your station. To refuse his choice is to challenge the king himself. You must wear it. You must own it. Own it." How could I own a lie? The sapphire blue felt like a target painted on my chest. As Clara braided my hair into a simple but elegant crown, she offered a final grim piece of advice. "Lady Myra will be there. She is the highest-ranking beta, and she is furious. Remember your mother's words, Audrey. Keep your head down. But today, keep your back straight too. Do not give her the satisfaction of seeing your fear." The walk from the consort suite to the private dining wing was terrifying. Every passing servant, guard, and low-level beta paused, their eyes wide and disbelieving, fixed on the Omega servant dressed in royal sapphire. Whispers followed me like a cold breeze. The forbidden nature of my presence here was the most compelling gossip in the entire palace. Gideon, the massive guard from the night before, stood outside the dining room doors. He opened them and gave me a silent nod of encouragement. The room was smaller and more intimate than the main hall, designed for quiet diplomacy. A long, polished mahogany table was set for 4. King Leo was already seated at the head, clad in a crisp black shirt that defined his broad shoulders. To his right sat a scholarly-looking older gamma named Silas, the king's chief advisor, and to his left, radiating venom and power, in a dress of blazing scarlet, sat Lady Myra. The moment I stepped across the threshold, Myra's dark eyes latched onto me, burning with undisguised hatred. Her beautiful face was tight with fury, a mask barely concealing the predator beneath. King Leo didn't look up immediately. He was studying a sheaf of papers, his brow furrowed in concentration. His scent, that overwhelming mix of pine and cold, hit me instantly, making my knees weak. "Your Majesty," I managed, dipping into a deep, precise curtsy. the one my mother had drilled into me for years. "Sit, Audrey," King Leo commanded, his voice as flat and unyielding as granite. He gestured to the empty seat directly across from Myra. The seating arrangement was a deliberate, calculated insult to Myra, a move designed to establish my proximity and importance. Myra was beside him, but I was directly in his line of sight, and I knew every beta in the room would understand the implication. I was to be seen. I sat down, forcing my spine straight, meeting Myra's murderous glare with a simple, neutral politeness that cost me everything. "Good morning, Lady Myra. Advisor Silas." Silas gave me a brief, polite smile, clearly uncomfortable with the tension. Myra didn't bother. She leaned forward, resting her chin on her hand, her eyes narrowed. "So the king has traded in his dignity for a pretty trinket." Myra's voice was low, sugary, and laced with absolute poison. "Tell me, servant, do you still remember how to polish silver, or has the sapphire made you forget your place?" I gripped the edge of the mahogany table under the tablecloth, remembering Clara's advice. Do not give her the satisfaction. "I remember all my duties, Lady Myra," I replied calmly, keeping my gaze locked on the king's cold profile. "But my duties have been redefined by His Majesty. I now serve the crown as commanded." Myra let out a sharp, mocking laugh. "Serve the crown? You mean you've been promoted from scrubbing floors to scrubbing the king's sheets? Don't confuse your luck with status, Omega. You are a temporary amusement. I look forward to the day you are tossed out with the morning ashes." The tension was a tangible thing, tightening around my chest. Silas looked horrified, but King Leo simply continued reading his documents, utterly silent, letting the conflict and the insult hang in the air. His silence was his most potent weapon. He was waiting. Suddenly, Leo reached out, his hand moving with lightning speed. He plucked a perfect, ripe strawberry from the silver bowl at the center of the table. Without looking away from the papers, he extended the berry toward me. "Open your mouth, Audrey," he commanded. My face flushed instantly, burning hot. It was a simple action, yet in this setting, before his chief advisor and directly across from his obsessive would-be Luna, it was a public act of ownership, an undeniable marker of my new status. It was humiliating, intimate, and designed to provoke Myra beyond all measure. I hesitated for a fatal second, my dignity screaming in protest. "Don't do it. Don't let him treat you like a pet." "I don't repeat myself," King Leo growled, the paper in his hand crinkling slightly. This time his glacial blue eyes lifted, locking onto mine. The coldness was back, but beneath it was a definite, challenging heat. His gaze demanded obedience, threatening the most severe consequences if I defied him. I swallowed hard, the taste of fear metallic in my throat. I would not challenge the Alpha King. Not here. Not ever. I leaned forward, my breath catching, and parted my lips. King Leo's eyes flickered down to my mouth. His fingers brushed against my lower lip as he slowly, deliberately, fed me the strawberry. The taste was sharp and sweet, but all I could taste was the shocking intimacy of his touch, the faint, metallic tang of his skin. Myra's chair scraped violently against the stone floor as she shot to her feet, her face contorted with shock and savage rage. "Leo, you disgrace the council! You disgrace your throne! This filth is not worthy of such public favour. I demand you send her away." King Leo finally set his papers down, his attention now entirely on the furious beta. He leaned back in his chair, his posture radiating a predatory calm that made the room feel dangerously small. "Lady Myra," King Leo said, his voice quiet, measured, and more terrifying than a shout. "Your loyalty to the throne is noted, but your interference is not. Audrey is under my direct protection and command. Your continued harassment of my property will be considered a direct challenge to my authority. Do you challenge your king?" Myra paled, her scarlet dress seeming to drain of colour. The question was a death sentence. To answer yes meant execution or exile. To answer no meant submission to the Omega servant she hated. She slumped back into her chair, defeated, but her eyes held a deeper, colder promise of revenge. "No, Your Majesty, I obey." King Leo nodded, his expression completely blank. He had won the exchange without raising his voice, using me as the silent shield, the ultimate symbol of his dominance. The message was clear: he dictates the rules, and I am the new rule. He looked at me then, a brief, penetrating glance that seemed to weigh my compliance. "Finish your meal, Audrey. You will come with me to the throne room this afternoon. You will observe the governance of the Shadowfang Pack. You are learning your new duties." Learning your new duties. That meant more than just the bedroom. I was to be seen. I was to be a silent spectator to his reign, a permanent fixture designed to torture Myra and baffle the court. After breakfast, Myra left in a flurry of furious silk. Silas quickly followed, and I was left alone with King Leo. He stood up, his height immense, and walked toward the window, looking out over the frozen mountains. "Your silence is appreciated, Audrey," he stated, his back to me. "You handled Myra's venom with more grace than most alphas would have." "Thank you, Your Majesty," I replied, standing up straight. He turned, the intense blue of his eyes scanning me. "That mark you hide," he said, referring to the faint bruise near my collarbone. "Tell me more about it. Why did your mother call it a curse?" The question was a direct order, and I had to answer. "We fled the Crescent Pack when I was very young, Your Majesty," I admitted, my voice dropping to a low, confessional tone. "My mother said the mark was tied to a bloodline that was long believed extinct, a bloodline that was dangerous to the stability of the Alpha rule. She said it was a sign of a forbidden ancient magic, a magic that could either elevate me to an impossible height or destroy me." I had just revealed the deepest secret of my life to the most dangerous man in the kingdom. My heart pounded a frantic rhythm. King Leo didn't flinch. He didn't look terrified or disgusted. A faint, almost imperceptible twitch played at the corner of his mouth. "Dangerous to the Alpha rule," he repeated, a low, intrigued murmur. He walked slowly back to the table, his eyes never leaving mine. "And yet, you are here in the heart of the most powerful Alpha rule on the continent. Perhaps," he mused, leaning his large, muscled frame against the table, his intensity filling the space between us, "perhaps the danger is exactly what I require." He was referring to his own curse, the rumours that his own wolf was dead or broken. Was he hoping to use my forbidden blood, my curse, to break his own? He looked at me, a wolf looking at his prey, but this time the heat was not just attraction, it was calculation. He reached out a hand, and I didn't flinch this time. I stood my ground, my Omega wolf now trembling with a confused blend of terror and reckless hope. He didn't touch me. He simply pointed a finger toward the private door he had used the night before. "The library is through there. Familiarize yourself with the pack laws and history before the council meeting. Do not leave this suite. And do not, Audrey, challenge my command again." I nodded, utterly subdued, but the tension was almost unbearable. He had asserted his dominance, crushed Myra, and confirmed his obsession with my secret mark. Now he was sending me to a library, a place of silent, intellectual study, just hours after his primal wolf had almost claimed me. He truly is an enigma, I thought, walking toward the private door, a creature of ice and fire, logic and terrifying, forbidden need. The next few hours would be spent studying his pack's history, looking for the secret of my mark, and waiting for the moment when the king's ruthless control finally broke. Thank you so much for tuning in to Stream of Stories. If you're captivated by Audrey's story so far, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Turning on the notification bell helps a small channel like mine grow. Also, I'd love to hear from you. Comment below and tell me where you are watching from and how the weather is today. Let's build our pack.